Hey guys, welcome back. So it's Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another model we can print. So today we are going to be making a Bob-omb, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this little guy from Mario. So correct me in the comments if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But these were always some of my favorite enemies from the Mario games, so I thought I'd create one that we can print. And now my number one goal with this was to make it easy to print because it's a relatively simple model. So I just wanted to keep it one piece and print without any supports. So let's get started. Alright, so here we are in Fusion 360, and this is where I created the model. And if you'd like to see more details on how I created this, check the little eye in the corner or down in the description. There'll be a link to another video detailing the process of how I created this. So let's take a look real quick. And I designed the whole thing and then just basically cut it off at the bottom to allow it to print in one piece without needing supports. So, depending on your filament type, of course, but I found that with my PLA, I had no troubles printing this. Any of these angles should be less than 45 degrees, and this overhang here, this little bridge, was easily done. Maybe if you scale it up ridiculously big, that might be an issue, but otherwise it should print perfectly. And I designed it trying to keep that in mind. Now, I exported this at high quality in Fusion 360 just because it is such a smooth sphere out here. So the model file is decently big, but it'll print perfectly. And let's go check it out in Cura. So here we have it in Cura, and if I zoom in real close, you can see that they're actually squares because computers can't handle perfect spheres. So when Fusion 360 exports it, it seems like it just sends raycast through at different intervals and creates the mesh that way. And I found at low quality you could see these squares a lot more than this, and it basically looked like if I were to create it in Tinkercad. But at high quality, when I printed it, you can't even see these. So it's when you print it, it is perfectly smooth. Now let's take a look at settings. I went 0.3 millimeter layer height, but as always, anything higher than that will just increase the details. Fill density, I went 20% just because with these curves, anything lower than that doesn't work out too well. As far as support and raft, you don't need any of those. Alright, well there we have it. Let's get printing. Alright, so here we have it fully 3D printed, as you can see there, and it printed out perfectly, just like I had wanted it to. So that's really exciting. So that actually came out really, really nice. And this right here is a little overhang, a little bridge actually, and that printed just fine. There's not really anything wrong with that, so I would say this is a success. Alright, well I just got it back from my wife. She painted it and everything, and look at that. Isn't that awesome? So there you can see the front view, and then let's turn to the side and back. There we go, and then the little wick on top. So this is the top view. And then of course the bottom is flat. So it'll sit on a desk perfectly, and it's easy to print. So let's quickly discuss some post-processing techniques and how she accomplished this. As with any 3D print, the first step is always to sand it. In this one, you actually shouldn't need to sand very much. Just make sure that there's no rough spots. And if you want an extremely smooth surface out here, then sand it. But I printed this at a 0.3 millimeter layer height, and it's still got this gloss on it. So if you print it at 0.2 or 0.1, you're probably not even going to need to, or you're probably not even going to see the lines. And then the next step, as always, is to prime it. And she just used some white plastic primer. Just sweep across, applying nice even coats. Then let it dry completely before moving on. And then the next step is to start painting. And she actually tried some new techniques on this, so I'll detail that a little bit. So she started with all of the extra details, leaving the body of it unpainted. So she painted the feet and the crank mechanism, and then she painted the top part with the fuse up here, and the eyes were already white from the primer. And then after that, it was time to move on to painting the body, but you don't want to mess up the paint that you've already done on these other details. So what she did was she took some tape and some saran wrap and wrapped up the areas that she didn't want affected by the black paint here. So she wrapped all the legs and the crank and the top in saran wrap, taped them off to make sure that the black did not affect them, and then she also covered up the eyes and used some sort of knife, I think it was an X-Acto knife, to just cut around so the saran wrap was just touching those. And then once everything was blocked off, she spray painted the black on. And in this little clip here, you might see that it was a dark blue beforehand. She was just experimenting to see what color looked best, so ignore that, and we just went with black. And now she said that the saran wrap worked pretty well, but she doesn't think she would recommend it because upon removing it, it did take some of the paint with it. So use that at your own discretion. And then after it was all painted and dried, she took a gloss coat to it. And that pretty much finishes it up and gives it this nice shine that you see on it right now. Well, there you go, guys. Now you can have your very own Bob-omb that you can decorate your desk with. That's what I'm going to do. And one really cool side effect of this being one piece to print, you can scale it as much as you want. So if you have a big printer, you can create a giant one of these. Or if you just want something tiny, you can print a small one like this. And see, it comes out really well. And there's really not even any adjustments that need made in order to print this. Just scale it and away you go. And as always, links for this are down in the description. So check down there and download them from your favorite site. And I've also included the Fusion 360 files for this down there. So if you have Fusion 360 and would like to edit this, you are more than welcome to. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're wondering what to watch next, check the little eye up in the corner here. And then don't forget to hit the like button down here and the subscribe button down here if you have not already. And then once again, for the hardcore among you, here's next week's preview. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.